All right, so we are here in Phoenix, Arizona with Doc's Boost, who has graciously accepted my invitation to be the very first driver profile on my channel. And I'm very excited, as you can see what's sitting behind us. So let's go ahead and get to the interview. So, what got you into cars, Doc?
Jeez. Well, that's an easy question to answer because I grew up in the 60s. I graduated from high school in 68. So just a few years before that is when the muscle car era first started. The GTO came out. The GTXs were out there from Plymouth and Mopar. We had Chevelles and Camaros and Mustangs were born in 64 and a half, and things were going crazy. So it was the best time in the world to be in high school, I think, of any other era. And there was no way I could stay away from cars. I had a lot of friends that went to the drag strip with their cars. I wasn't lucky enough to be one of those guys, but I was their pit crew, so that was a lot of fun. Did a lot of mods, did a lot of things to their cars, and it was a great time.
Awesome. So, what was your favorite classic car out of all the vehicles that you were exposed to growing up? Which do you think had the most impact on you?
You know, that's another easy question because just before graduation, a friend of mine, he got his parents bought him a 1968 GTX 440 Magnum 4-speed, and that car was insanely beautiful. I fell in love with GTXs, Mopars, when the year before that in '67 when GTX was born, and there was a car running around Warren, Michigan, that was part of a Banff car club, a badass, MF, and that car was just insanely fast. It had wheel well headers. It was blue, 4-speed, 440, and I was in love with GTXs ever since. And then my friend got one in '68, and he let me drive it anytime I wanted, and that was it. I fell in love with muscle cars, and that was my first passion, was the GTX. And as a matter of fact, when I came home from the Navy in '71, I went out and bought me a '68 GTX and kept that car for 16 years, built it to the hilt. I loved it.
As a good friend, let me drive his car.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe he said he threw me the keys the first time, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, I'm very protective of my integrity. It's like, I don't want you're not ruining my synchros.
Yeah.
So, why did you choose a Mustang for your current car?
Well, actually, my wife got me into that. I did own one Mustang a long, long time ago for about 3 hours. I went to a dealer's auction in Denver, early '80s, and I bought me a '65 Mustang for $1,200 at the auction, and I bought that in the morning. And that is, I went out and drove it around the parking lot a few times, and then I ran it through the auction again. I sold it for $1,800, made a few $100, and so I had a '65 Mustang for a little while. But then years and years later, my wife had to make a drive from here to Colorado for a family event, and she rented a car, and that turned out to be a Mustang at the time, '67 Mustang. And she got home from that trip and said, "I want one of those cars," and went out and bought one. And so that started it. She had the first one. We drove that for several years. Then we got another one. Then we got another one. Then we got two, and then we had three for a while. And now we're here with these two, the GT500 and her GT.
So this question may seem a tad redundant given the one I just gave you. However, what made you choose, such a monstrous trim level?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Just before that car, I had a brand new 2014 GT 5.0. Black, same color as this. And it was a beautiful car. The only difference, it had a brown, what they called a baseball glove or baseball mitt interior. It was just a gorgeous car. Powerful car. Man, it was just even more powerful than that GTX was decades ago. And I drove it into the dealership one day to get a little rattle fixed on it. This car happened to be in the parking lot. They let me take it for a test drive, and that was it. That was all she wrote. There's no way I could come home with anything less. And that was it. And that was like 5 years ago, and I don't see any change in ownership anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I'd have trouble giving a car like this up myself. So, well, I guess my next question doesn't really work. But what's done to this car? Any modifications?
Well, yeah. One of the first things that I noticed during the initial test drive was, running through the gears. I had a little bit of a challenge going through that second gear, and turned out I found out I didn't stop me from buying the car, but I did find out very shortly after that the transmissions in these cars, as well as the TR6060 that was in Challengers and Corvettes and Camaros and all of the muscle cars of that same era as this, suffered that same problem. So I found the solution, found the perfect organization that knew all about it and fixed that problem for me. I took it in there, they went in there and they replaced some synchros, and it was perfect ever since. So that's the first mod. $1,200 well spent. After that, we went into, I did a twin disc McLeod racing clutch in there. I got a single piece aluminum drive shaft in there. I got an adjustable upper control arm for the rear to make sure my drive line or drive angle was okay. I've upgraded the lower control arms with Steeda control arms. I got 373 gears in there. I got Roush axle backs in there. I got a smaller supercharger pulley. I got a 10% underdrive pulley. I got a 123 millimeter carbon fiber cold air intake from JLT. I got a Whipple 68 millimeter twin bore throttle body. I got a Lund tune in there that gives me 610 to the rear wheels. I got a SVT Performance corner carving kit suspension in there that dials down the dampening on the shocks and struts. Lowered the car about 2 inches. Adjustable panhard bar in the back, adjustable links on that extra heavy duty sway bar in the front, and billet links on the extra heavy duty sway bar link in the back. I got some carbon fiber trim, decorative pieces like the splitter in the front's carbon fiber, some carbon fiber caps under the hood, carbon fiber cap for the fuse panel under the hood, and even the dipstick handle has a carbon fiber handle on it, so it looks pretty good under the hood. And I also did, which I really like, is the hood struts. So I don't have a hood prop anymore. That was a great addition, as well as the line locks, so my burnouts are a lot easier, as well as putting a bigger, fatter, black Shelby GT500 gear shift knob on there on the inside, which makes that connection between me and this monster even more firm than ever before. But last but not least, I have I lost my thought. The carbon fiber stripe. I really love the carbon fiber stripe. That's about the newest feature on there. I haven't yet to see another car with a carbon fiber stripe. And I picked the GT350 style stripes, and that's a 1 inch in the middle with a 7-inch wide twin stripe for the carbon fiber, and then that 1/8 inch border stripe yellow. And that yellow matches my Bear Extreme competition yellow 6-piston calipers, and that's a 6-piston caliper on every corner with a 14-inch 2-piece rotor drilled and slotted that gives me about 610 braking horsepower. When I say braking horsepower, I mean stopping power. So I can get stopped just about as fast as I can get started in the thing, and it's just a beautiful ride altogether. Beautiful ride altogether.
So some very considerable hardware on that car.
Yeah.
So, do you participate in any motorsports with this machine?
I do some road racing. I belong to Pro Auto Sports in Nassau, Arizona, and they have events going on just about every month. Sometimes in the middle of the summer they don't, because the heat is just too extreme. But I take advantage of that opportunity about 6 times out of the 12 months, plus a few autocross events here and there through the year. Keeps me busy, and I love every minute of it. I just love every minute of it.
I bet you have a very nice setup for it. So with the mods, did you start out with a list, or did you just kind of get them? I could use a little more grip here. I'd like to be able to tune this.
Well, I went with. I tried to go in an order, like the order that I listed them wasn't the order that I got them. So I tried to build the car to be a better road racer car. So I need to get it lower, I need to get it firmer, I need to be able to stop better, those kind of things. You know, I threw a little more power at it, but I didn't go crazy on the power. I was trying to build a car that could make the corners, turn the corners, accelerate out of the turns, and of course braking is important. So make sure that those mods came first, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, no, it sounds like you really, you're smart about it. It's like this. I mean, I don't know. This is a lot more power than I've ever been in, and when I ride it, it will be the most powerful car I've ever ridden in. So it's definitely not a car that's down on power in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So who did the mods?
Well,
who
Amp
was
Performance did a lot of the work for me, and they were gracious enough to let me get in their way every time they did any of the stuff, like throwing the clutch or the suspension or the brakes or all of that stuff that they did. I was right in there with my cameras, putting those videos on Doc's Boost YouTube channel, and so it's all been documented, and they're a great group to work with. They're the ones that actually had the cure for my 1-2 shift grind problem, and they're the first ones that ever touched the car, and I was sold on them ever since. Great group of guys.
Understandable. So, if not this car, what would your second choice be as of this moment right now for just what you do? Like, if you had a second choice, what would that car be?
If I had a second choice, I would probably like to have a GT350R.
I love that car.
Because that car is the engine and the dynamics of the car, the stance of the car is already ready for racing, and so there's a lot less that I would have to do. I did drive one of those, and not on a race course though, but I did drive one, and I can tell right off that handling would have been just amazing. But if that car wasn't available to me, then a Boss would be like the third choice down. So it'd be, I drove a Boss too, and they're just an amazing car.
Yeah, those things are really serious. I watched this video where they took an Evo 10 MR around a track and they put it against a Boss 302, and the Boss 302 with a solid rear axle kicked that Evo's ass.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It just all the bald eagles. My big patriotism in that moment. I was like, America.
I tell you, Boss is for that solid rear end axle, that straight axle back there, it is an amazing car on a road track. It is just amazing. It really is.
Good to hear. So that's about all my questions.
All right.
Thank you for the interview.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
So now we're going for a ride, huh?
I believe so.
All right. This is the best part.